Okay, so we'll start. We'll let the people join the meeting now. Okay. Okay. Good morning, all. We'll just give a minute for people to join in. We'll start as soon as we have some participants. So just let us give one more minute for the people to join. Okay, I hope my screen is visible now, right? Yeah, great. Okay, sure. Okay, so we'll get started. Hi all, good morning and warm welcome to you all. This webinar is sponsored by Wellington. My name is Santosh Joshi, Director of Events, and I'll be your host today. This webinar is being recorded for the future references. This is a great opportunity to learn how to increase your project and the portfolio management maturity and leverage Microsoft PPM to improve your project and resource management approach. There are a lot to learn from this webinar. This is something you can really implement also. And what are the key things that you can expect to take away from this meeting? One is how your organization can make a step change in PPM maturity. It covers methodology, PMO, technology, and the people. And one most important thing for all the managers to know is about what are the key challenges and resolutions when you implement the project and portfolio level, right? And that is the message you will get it from this webinar too. Yeah. And most importantly, you will have an opportunity to see live demonstration of Microsoft PPM. We have eminent speakers today with us to walk us through the PPM. It is my pleasure to welcome Vince Hines and Buzz Kinda. A brief introduction about Vince Hines. Vince Hines is Managing Director at Wellington. He worked as a consultant, trainer, speaker in USA and UK for multiple organizations. Vince has worked extensively with the clients in a legal profession, bringing best practices project management to this industry. He also leads the Wellington Legal Project Management Practice, where the methodology, training, and Microsoft-based technology are combined for a complete legal project management turnkey solution. It is really it is a nice opportunity for us to talk to Vince to get his ideas, thoughts on the PPM. We certainly look forward for your session, Vince. Moving forward, a brief introduction about Buzz. Buzz is an experienced Microsoft PPM consultant and a director at Wellington. You all know Wellington is a leading Microsoft PPM Gold partner. He also works closely with the Microsoft UK project team and he actually helps the organizations to address PPM pains and increase the project management maturity. He has been directly involved in a significant number of implementations across many organizations. With his background, Buzz is well versed in educating organizations on the benefits that they can realize through Microsoft PPM. So to continue the session, I would like to welcome the Vince Hines to take forward and present the session. Vince, over to you.
Hi, before Vince takes over, Santosh, I'm going to speak really quickly, only to say that Vince's laptop has decided to reboot. So he's in the process of logging back into the meeting and should be back within the next 30 or so seconds.
Okay,
sure. But in the meantime, I will set the scene very quickly. So this presentation is going to be in two parts today. So Vince is going to make a start by talking about project management maturity, PMO maturity in general. He'll be sharing some of the findings from our State of Project Management report, which is published annually, to highlight what the biggest challenges are that organizations face and what the benefits are of increased maturity. Once Vince is done with that part, I'm going to take over and talk about the technology side of it. So I'll be showcasing the latest version of Microsoft Project, which is Project for the Web. And moreover than that, I'll also be demonstrating the Wellington Project Accelerator, which is our pre-configured version of Project for the Web, which gives you additional bells and whistles compared to what you would get out of the box. And just in time, Vince is back. Vince, do you have your slides ready?
Yes, I do. Apologies, my laptop decided to reboot just as Santosh was giving that very lovely introduction. My laptop died, which is perfect timing. But let me share my screen. Bear with me a second, everybody. And hopefully, I'm just going to move you onto another screen. And so, Baz, were you starting to fill there? Were you starting to...
Yes, I did start to fill, so I've given a basic overview of what you're going to present, what I'll present. I will say one other thing just before I completely kind of bow out. If you've got any questions, please use the chat window to ask them. And whilst Vince is talking, I'll be fielding all the questions. And again, whilst I'm talking, Vince will be fielding the questions on my behalf. But over to you, Vince.
Lovely. Thanks, Baz. Thanks, Santosh. Okay, so good morning, everyone. We've done introductions. I'm going to spend the first 20 minutes or so giving you an overview of how organizations improve their project management maturity. The joy of my role is I get to work with lots of different organizations, helping them on that challenge. And of course, as part of that, we want to leverage Microsoft technology. Baz is going to focus on a demonstration of that. So we've had kind of introductions already. I'm talking to you from, this is not my back bedroom, that would be very keen. I'm in our offices in Windsor and Wellington. We are a project management consultancy and a Microsoft Gold partner and lots of other badges too. So our work, we work with lots of different organizations. There's some examples here from Microsoft themselves. And you can see a very wide range of organizations and industries. The one thing they all have in common is they're all running projects and they're all juggling that challenge of completing projects on time, at the right price, to the right level of quality, delivering the benefit that hopefully we all agreed right at the beginning in that business case. So so let's look for all of these organizations and maybe your own. There's a desire to increase project management maturity, PPM, project and portfolio management maturity. We do a very large piece of research each year called the State of Project Management. And in that research, we ask hundreds of practitioners the situation in their organization and collate that data. And we've been doing that for quite a few years. So let's look at that data a little bit and see what are the challenges that organizations face. What are the biggest challenges at a kind of a portfolio level rather than within a specific project? What are the big challenges that organizations face? I'll get my little virtual laser pointer. And number one and number two have been number one and number two, swapping places every now and again. But number one and number two, while ever we've been running this survey for quite a few years, this research for quite a few years, attempting to run too many projects and poorly trained project managers. The other sort of seen as the magic panacea is being able to do good resource management. A lot of organisations struggle with that, and indeed lots of organisations are maybe even using schedules in Microsoft Project, and then looking to collate that information. And there's quite often there's somebody somewhere with the world's most sophisticated Excel spreadsheet trying to juggle, trying to just keep up to date with the changes that are going on in the organisation, trying to understand how much resource do we need versus how much resource we've got. Quite often there's a bit of a disconnect, a delta between those two things. Inconsistency in approach. We've got different projects being run in a different way, driven more by the personality, the character, the experience, the background of the project manager. And what we want, if you think of, for your own organisation, think if a new project manager joined us today. I am definitely having some technical problems this morning. I can still, hopefully you can still hear me, but my screen has stopped sharing. Bear with me. I will talk and reset my screen as we go. But I'm sure for many of you, you're in your organisations. Bear with me a second.
Vince, we could see your slide there briefly.
Yeah, it's just so this is.
Apologies, everyone, but in the meantime, if you do have any questions, then please do feel free to type them into the chat window, and I can field those. Oh, Vince, we can see your slide again. So PPM Challenges being presented.
Thank you. So inconsistency in approach. We've got different people taking a different approach. And alongside that, also, this tends to be a focus for organisations. Let's train our project managers, but also knowing that actually we need to train our project sponsors, the people at that senior level, that first layer of governance, that oversight as well. Senior managers forget that they need to put on a different hat, the hat of project sponsor, and continue to take kind of a line manager lens on their oversight of projects. So project sponsorship is a critical role. And it's not just attending meetings and eating biscuits, virtual biscuits maybe. It is a key role as well. So I'd like to say, hopefully none of these resonate with you. I said, you know what, we've got great project managers, we've got consistency in approach, we've got good resource management, but these are the common challenges that people face. What we've also done is then talk to organisations about project management processes and the difficulty of embedding those processes versus, if they are embedded successfully, the benefit that people derive from them. And we can plot these two things. Now, the results are a little bit skewed, but what is interesting is the most difficult processes to embed: resource management, project prioritization, benefits realization. Now, I think that they also rank low here, and I suspect that's because not many organizations have done them successfully, so can demonstrate they've got a lot of value from them. So I would say if they're done well, of course, there'd be immense value from these things. What this is interesting is if in your organization you're looking to develop your project management maturity and you're looking at all these types of project management processes, it makes good sense to focus on those at this end of the spectrum. Stakeholder engagement, risk management, planning, change control are a really good place to start, because what we can see here, they're not as difficult to embed, yet they provide a great deal of value. So if I'm trying to increase my project management maturity, let's start with the easier, quicker wins of improving stakeholder engagement. Let's do stakeholder mapping, building project communications, project comms plans. And let's ensure all projects, they do undertake a risk assessment, that we acknowledge there are risks, there are concerns with our projects, and we highlight and escalate those of a certain scale, certain size, that we do put together good schedules, that we do compare our current progress to those original baseline plans, and we do have change control with well-defined scope. And then we're using change control to manage any deviation, significant deviation from that from that scope. The number one reason why projects fail is scope creep or lack of scope definition. So change control is an important weapon in the arsenal of the project manager to help counter that challenge. So as I said, if you're on the journey of improving your project management maturity, look at these areas first, and then look to resource management, benefits management, project prioritization, lessons learned, recognizing they can be more difficult to embed, of course, immense value if we do that successfully. So I've talked about maturity, and in fact, you may be very familiar with the 5-level maturity chart. Level 1, we've got an ad hoc approach to our projects. Level 2, we recognise, hang on a minute, for the big projects, let's at least manage those in a consistent way. Where any organisation really should be striving for as a minimum is level 3. Whether it's the big important corporate projects or local departmental projects, we do want a consistent approach that's scaled to align with the size of the project, the cost, the value, the risk, the complexity as well. Now, what's interesting is when we ask people about, are you happy with the current level of maturity in your organisation? About a third are, and in fact, year on year, that number's dropping. So either that means year on year, everyone's getting worse at project management and less mature. And I don't think that is the case. I certainly hope that's not the case. Or that number's dropping because people's awareness of what good is increasing. I've attended events, I've been to conferences, I've taken qualifications. I'm learning and understanding what mature is. I look into my own organisation and recognise this could be better. So what this does mean, if those, for a lot of organisations who are looking to develop their project management maturity, often they're pushing against an open door. People absolutely relish that and say, thank goodness for that, because what we're doing at the moment, it's a bit ad hoc and we're kind of making it up as we go along. So when I, again, talk about maturity, what do I really mean by that? Let's look at some items to get our teeth into. These are just some examples. There are many others we could pick, but just to give us an idea of when we talk about project management maturity, the sort of characteristics that we're looking for. So, for example, have we got an existing project management delivery framework? Have we got an agreed approach to selecting, planning, running, closing projects out? Is that applied in a consistent way for projects of a similar size, similar risk? What's our approach to running projects? Have we got a defined scoping document that is used consistently? Clearly understanding of what is in scope, what's out of scope, what's our schedule, our cost forecast, our resource forecast, risk, our approach to governance, all these kind of things. We'd want to have that in our scoping documentation. Have we got built a schedule in the planning phase? Are we then updating that with progress as the project continues, and then comparing the current plan to that original baseline plan? And then finally, another example, are we doing some risk management? So you can see the numbers there for yourselves. About 2/3 do apply a defined methodology, scoping document, risk management, and about 50% compare their project to their baseline. Bear in mind, the people that are filling this in are project management practitioners. We've not sort of walked down the high street and just randomly asked people. So my view generally is that these numbers are quite low, Half of practitioners are comparing their schedules to a baseline. It is very low numbers. So if we are looking to develop our project management maturity, how can we go about that? Well, in actual fact, we definitely see 4 different areas of attention, worthy of attention. The first is defining that methodology, that governance structure, the defined consistent approach to selecting, planning, running, closing projects. Someone needs to own that approach. That's going to be our PMO. A PMO does not have to be a team of 8. It could be someone's kind of part-time role, but a project management office that champions best practice, that supports those given the opportunity to run a project, assures bigger projects where the project manager should know what they're doing, and so we're providing more of an assurance role potentially on those. Is that project being run in the right way? And owns the methodology, champions the methodology into the organisation. And of course, we need to leverage technology. So we're not doing manual reporting every month. We're not all spending at least a day every month collating reports. I'll talk about that in a second. That we've got one version of the truth, consistent data. Everyone can access the data that they should be able to access. How are we getting on with our projects? We should be able to see dashboard data, live dashboard data on our projects. And of course, that's what Vaz is going to cover off in a moment. And then finally, of course, good training, good support for those involved in projects, whether it's the project manager, the sponsor, it doesn't matter. We should have good training for people who are going to be given the opportunity to run a project. So if we look to, I want to develop my project management maturity, think about what we can do in each of these areas to pull us up, to increase our maturity, hopefully get further up that maturity chart as well. Just focusing on the technology of those, one of the things we asked was about, do you have access to real-time project key performance indicators? How's our project doing? Red, amber, green. And over 50% don't. And with over a third of people who responded, bear in mind, people who responded could be project managers, PMO, program directors, any kind of role within the project management function. A third of them are at least spending 1 or more days collating project reports. This is just manual time that could be spent analysing data rather than collating data. So, so this is where the technology can come into play. So lots of our clients look to deploy Microsoft technology as a PPM solution. What are the key drivers for most? We want clear visibility of what's going on. What's the status of all our projects? We want consistent governance around project approval and projects moving through stage gates. We want consistency in approach, good resource management, and one single version of the truth, so everyone can see that data and hopefully collaborate wherever they may be in our new world of remote working. So that's me finished. Now is the opportunity, so I'll kind of the warm-up act. Now's the main event, not with the technical problems I seem to have had this morning, but the main event with Baz. And so Baz, going to show us more about the technology that can support any enterprise achieve its project management maturity.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to be focusing on the brand new Microsoft project. So this is Project for the Web. It's been around actually for a couple of years now, but it is evolving at a pretty rapid pace with lots of new functionality arriving pretty much on a quarterly basis. We are sitting down as well with the head of the Project for the Web product at Microsoft next month. So we're going to be meeting with that person. But it's something that Microsoft are really investing in, and it's part of the Power Platform. It sits on top of the Dataverse. A lot of this terminology you might be familiar with. If not, I'm just going to go through and demonstrate the tool. Before I do that, I do want to just take a couple of minutes to go through a couple of slides to really set the scene, because if you are using Microsoft 365, you might have come across a number of tools that all seem to do vaguely similar things, and you're not wrong. They've got a number of tools that are available that help you with your task and your work and your project management. So on one end of the spectrum, and this is only a subset of them, by the way, these are the primary ones. We've got Microsoft Planner, which is a very simple Kanban board-based task management solution, but is very useful for very small teams that want to get better organized and migrate away from Excel. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got a solution called Project Online. Project Online is the official enterprise extension to Microsoft Project on the desktop. It's incredibly powerful. It does a lot of things. It does project portfolio management. It lets you prioritize your projects. It obviously connects to Microsoft Project Desktop, so you can synchronize your plans into the cloud and everyone has visibility. It does resource management, does a whole bunch of things. So again, a very good solution. However, it's slightly long in the tooth. It's been around since 2013 in Office 365. And I think it was approximately 2 years ago that Microsoft said that they wouldn't be developing it any further. So all of our focus now is on Microsoft Project for the Web. So this solution doesn't really connect to Project Desktop. It's all browser-based. It's the modern take on project and work management from Microsoft. It's a very clever solution. So it's got a very slick user interface, certainly around the scheduling interface. And it's been designed to be extended with the Power Platform. So that's Microsoft Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI. And you're going to be seeing that in action in the next few moments. And really the key benefits of going for Project for the Web are that it does get access to new features. It is the solution that Microsoft are heavily focused on. It's very easy to use. So it doesn't matter if you're a fully fledged project manager, if you're an accidental project manager, it's been designed to be super intuitive and very accessible. And that will come across when I go through the demo. And we know that specifically, well, since the start of the pandemic in particular, we know that Teams usage has really accelerated, and so many people now are using Teams on a day-to-day basis just to get their work done. And Project for the Web integrates with Microsoft Teams through that backend groups integration into Microsoft 365. So it's really focused around collaboration around the modern platform that Microsoft have, with a real focus on Microsoft Teams. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Project for the Web, it gives you a really nice scheduling interface, which is one part of it. That is actually Project for the Web. Microsoft have designed it to be extended with the Microsoft Power Platform. And what we've done is we've used the Power Platform to create what we call the Accelerator Plus. And the Accelerator Plus gives you a whole bunch of functionality that's very much geared towards the PMO and enterprise functions that want to manage project portfolios and capture more than simple plans. So through the Accelerator Plus, you can capture your pipelines, you can get a program view, you've got full access to a fully fledged RAID suite to match risks, issues, actions, decisions. Over and above that, we also provide change logs, status reports, lessons learned logs, benefit trackers, and we've given you a Power BI content pack, which is a suite of fully automated reports that are accessed, of course, via Power BI. So that's the Accelerator Plus. That is something that I will be demonstrating now as part of this next part. Again, as we alluded to earlier, if you've got any questions, then please do feel free to raise them via the chat window. Vince will be fielding any questions that come through. But here we are now, Office 365, or Microsoft 365 as it's now referred to. And within this, I've got my homepage. It's through this that I would go into the Waffle Access project. Now, I've already got project opened up a couple of times, and that will make sense shortly when I click through. So I'm going to demonstrate a couple of things. So when I first go through to the project homepage, which is where I am at the moment, it displays here for me a bunch of my favorite projects that I've pinned along the top. And here at the bottom, I can also see my recently opened projects. I can also go in, access items that have been shared with me. But going back to this menu, I'm going to go in and create a new project. Now, when I do this, you get access to this pretty recent screen, actually. This was only rolled out a few weeks ago. So when I go into creating a new project, it gives me a range of options. I can either go in, create a blank project. I've also got the ability to go in and import a Microsoft project plan from the desktop. And I can also create something called a roadmap, which is a bit of a well, it's essentially what it says on the tin. It's a on the surface, sorry. It's a roadmap indicating different initiatives, when they're starting to take place, when they're starting, when they're finishing, progress to date. So you effectively see these swim lanes showing you a depiction of your overall project portfolio and any linked milestones to that. If we get a chance, I will demonstrate that as part of a demo. But the other thing that I wanted to highlight is that Microsoft have now also made it possible for you to start your projects in Project for the Web using these predefined templates, which you can see there. In this example, what I'm going to do is I will go through, select one of these templates. I'm going to select the software product development template, sorry. I'll go into use template, and what you will see is that it's going to give me a pre-built template that I can use as the basis for my project. Now, there are workarounds. If you wanted to add in a bespoke template, something that's very specific to your organization, that is also possible. But this is my plan. So I've got a pre-built list there of all of the tasks, summary tasks. I can see what the typical durations are. I can also see the types of resources I need. So very high level at this stage. I can also view this project through a slightly different lens, through a board, which is what you're seeing now. So this one, obviously more inclined to agile ways of working. Now we also then have access to the timeline view, which is the traditional waterfall view of your project plan. Now this is all interactive, so if I want to move things around, I can do so. If I want to extend items out, I can do that as well. And of course, I've already got lots of dependencies in place here, but if I want to create new dependencies, all I do is click drag and connect to something else. So again, a very simple view there of the Gantt chart, the scheduling engine itself, which is a project for the web. I will very quickly go into the project app there and open up one of my existing projects as well. But it's completely bespoke. This is something that we've built up ourselves, very specific to the needs of this specific plan. So this one's a bit more detailed than the template you saw earlier. I've got additional columns being displayed. So I can see things like finish dates, completion percentages. I can also see dependencies coming up and being displayed on there as well. And if I go over to the board view, I will highlight one other thing. I'll click into my task, and there you can see that we've got the ability to add in other resources. I can also label my tasks, as you can do in Microsoft Planner. If any of you are familiar with Planner itself, you can also add notes, and we can also complete this information, as you can see displayed. We do actually have the ability also, like Planner, to go in and checklist items. More to the point, we can also add attachments. So those attachments can be uploaded from your local storage, so from your laptop, your PC. You can also link to Teams files, and you can even link to an external URL. And when we go into Microsoft Teams a bit later, you will see that we've got the ability to actually have conversations going on around the tasks as well. Right, so that was the scheduling interface. What I'm going to do is jump over now to Power Apps, where we've already created an app. I'm going to go into the app, and this is really the view that the PMO or the power users would most likely want to use. So the look and feel, first of all, can be tweaked as required. We can change the branding, we can change the charts, we can do a lot of things with this. This is an example of what we provide out of the box, but do bear in mind that this can be tweaked and tailored as required to suit your specific requirements. So when I first go into my homepage, I'm presented with a dashboard, as you can see there. But dashboard items can also be tweaked. So whatever reports you want to see, whatever insights you want to get access to, as soon as you go into the environment, we can make that visible. These reports were not created using Power BI. These are Power Apps charts, but they are interactive. So if I wanted to drill down into the IT spend, click into that, choose the attribute by which I want to drill down. So actual cost, and I'll view that as a bar chart. There we go. I can see that information in a drill down format, and I can drill down further to my hard content if I want to do that. But that's enough of the home dashboard. If I open up the menu again, you will see that we've got various options available. So we've got access to a pipeline, program views, project views, resource views. We can all go in and access the Power BI reports and the full rate sweep that I alluded to earlier. And we've got other management logs in there as well. So status reports, change logs, lessons learned, and benefits trackers as well. What I'll do for the sake of time is go into the project list. And I should have caveated this at the beginning, but due to the time constraints we have, this is going to be a bit of a whirlwind demo today. But if you would like to get a more detailed insight, and maybe you want to see a wider demo for you and your colleagues together, all you need to do is get in touch using the details that are coming up at the end. But for now, here is a list of my active projects. I have got the ability to go in, create different system views, as you can see there. And we can also then apply groupings as well. So I might want to apply a grouping that is project type. So see everything neatly ordered into a list of different types of projects, which is what I'm doing now. For each one of these views, by the way, you can determine which columns you see and what is displayed, how graphical it is or how informative it might be. So again, that's all within your control to a large extent. I'm going to select this project because I'm going to go in to the drill down view. And this is really where the bulk of the work is actually taking place. So here on the top left, I can see the project title. I've also got project details being displayed there on the top right, as you can see there. Below that, I've got a life cycle that the project is following. Now, we can actually template these life cycles up. So different project types will have different life cycles attached to them. And the other great thing about these workflows is that they're interactive. So if I click onto any one of these stage gates, you will see that we've got a checklist or a mini questionnaire that the end user, the project manager, has to complete before they can then move into the next stage of a life cycle. So this really helps from a consistency perspective, from a governance perspective, and as with anything else, this can be altered to match your life cycles and your governance processes as well. And on the other end, the approvers could be a single person, could be approval by committee. So again, we can do a lot of things with this. Further down, we've also got various tabs enabling me to cycle through the different pages, as you can see there. And I will cycle through some of them shortly, but for now, we'll focus on the summary page, upon which we've got various tables being displayed. So general, schedule, we've got a status page as well. And all of the fields that you see, all of these custom fields, it's up to you. Whichever fields you want to create, we can drop in. And we can also determine how people interact. So whether they are able to type things in free text, whether they're selecting from predefined values. Again, it's all configurable. The other thing that's really nice about this is that it's dynamic. So these forms, these workflows, they are intelligent. So if I was to go in and select a different level of complexity, which I'll demonstrate now, if you keep an eye on the workflow itself, if I select low, you will see that the lifecycle changes on the fly. Now, this is a very simple example, but we could go a step further and change the entire form or the remainder of the forms. Because if it's high complexity, you would expect to collect more detail. If it's low complexity, of course, you need to capture less detail. So again, there's multiple ways in which we can tweak this in an intelligent way. And that's dynamically, by the way, on the fly. We've also got some details being pulled in there from the schedule itself. It's all padlocked because the detail is coming in from the plan. And by the way, the plan is also accessible, and I'll go into that shortly. And here at the bottom, we've got a status overview coming in from the latest status report. I talked about the plan, so I will go there next. So the plan that I was looking at a moment ago is the same plan that's being displayed here within this para. And in fact, I know I've jumped about a little bit. I've gone to the plan, then I've gone into Power Apps. Many organizations would literally stay within Power Apps, and people don't even know that it's different solutions that are being gelled together to give them their overall solution. But this is all embedded. And if I do want to view this full screen, I can again open that up in Project, and that opens up in a full screen format. To cycle through some of these other pages really quickly, we've got the business case page. So we've got the ability to capture some narrative, really simple. But then we've also got the ability to prioritize and actually define strategic alignment of this plan against the organizational drivers. So we've got some example drivers here. So alignment with strategic goals, financial benefits, and so on. And this can all be scored on a scale of 1 to 10. We can also apply different weightings behind the scenes against these drivers as well. And ultimately that drives out a prioritization score. So this is again a starter for 10. It's what we give you out of the box, but we can enhance and modify as required. When it comes to the financials, pardon me, I'm just getting over a bit of a cold and I've still got a cough that's lingering on. So the financials, this one is a very simple take on financials. We are literally capturing a high-level budget, forecast, and so on. But for many customers, we would create something a bit more complex, whereby we are capturing time phase data, and it might be across different categories like CapEx, OpEx, with subcategories beneath them as well. So again, we've got the option of getting a lot cleverer with that than what is being demonstrated here. Going into the resource view, it's literally going to show me a list of all the resources. Sorry, bear with me one moment. Okay, bye. So here we've got a list of all the resources. I can see when they are due to start the project, when they're due to finish. But we also see there the total effort that's booked in versus the effort that's been completed and that effort that's remaining. We can also add cost rates against this as well. So if you wanted to see the forecast cost from a resource perspective, the cost that's been accumulated so far and how much is remaining, again, we've got the ability to do that as well. I won't go through all of the logs because they all pretty much look the same, but we've got risks, actions, issues, decisions, as I talked about earlier. And this is an example of our risk log. So let's go into 5G legal issues. And we'll discard the changes so far and go into this. So this is where we are collating the information. So general information, and of course this can again be modified. Categories, we are capturing the status of a risk as well. We've assigned an owner, we can assign a due date for this as well. And then here we've also got a risk assessment table whereby we're capturing the probability and the impact score. And the way in which this is scored can also be tweaked. So you might have different scoring matrix. That is something that we can apply. But here we've calculated the exposure score. That automatically assigns a risk RAG. And here at the bottom, we've also got tables where we can put in free text to provide details around our risk response generally. And we've also got the ability there to escalate this item. So if we want this to be visible at a high level, even though the score might not warrant it, but we want it to be visible, we can flag it as being something that needs to be escalated. So as I mentioned earlier, the other logs pretty much look the same. So I won't go through some of the other standard logs, but I will go into lessons learned, for example. You've got the ability to go in, capture lessons. And the way that I'm viewing this at the moment is within a project silo. But if I open up my menu again, I can go down. Let's go into risks. Now, this is an unfiltered list of all risks across the entire portfolio. I can go in and again group by project, or more meaningfully, maybe by category, to look for key trends possibly. So this was the Power Apps component, and this again is literally scratching the surface in terms of what we can deliver. So if you'd like to see customer examples, more complex examples of what we can produce, all you need to do is get in touch and we can set up a session. The other element that I'm going to show you is Microsoft Teams, and I'll keep this pretty brief. What we've done here is created a team, so project demo. Within this, we've created various channels, as you can see there. And I wanted to illustrate the fact that we can actually embed in the entire Power App if you want to do that. We can also go in to specific projects. Let's go in. Where is it going? Here we go. And we can view only the plans, as you're about to see now. Something else we can do is actually have conversations around the tasks. So I couldn't illustrate this earlier because I wasn't in Teams, but if I click on that, you will see that it gives me a conversation window where I've been able to pretty much go in. Let me just move this along, and I can say, can you please look at this? Whoops, and I'll add somebody in, Megan. Fire that off. Megan will get a notification. Now, what's really nice about this is, as well as Megan getting a notification, I can take any one of these conversation bubbles and go in and create other actions. So your actions could be to create a miniature task in Teams, or I might even want to push something out of the Jira. So again, we've got quite a bit of flexibility there from a collaboration perspective. The other area that I wanted to show you very quickly was the Power BI element. So Power BI, a really good enterprise-wide reporting solution, and we are only pulling in data today from Project for the Web, but you can pretty much pull in data from any solution, from any data source, and you've even got the ability to merge data sources to look at project data with ERP financial data, and that's something we do often for many of our customers. But the reporting pack that I'm loading up now is the project reporting pack, linked to Project for the Web, and I'm going to show you some very simple examples here of an overall portfolio report, as you can see there. So I've not filtered it really, but we've got the ability to drill down directly into the plan. I can also apply further groupings as well. Let's look at all items belonging to Megan again, so I can focus on an individual. And these reports are interactive, so if I want to look at reports that are with a red schedule health indicator belonging to Megan, I can filter that list down, but I can also get rid of Megan and look at all red items generally. We also have timeline reports, milestone reports. We've got reports that also look at things like risks and change requests, resource assignments. So again, the reports are really, really wide ranging. But that for now concludes the demo. I'm conscious that we do want to do a bit of Q&A. So what I'll do very quickly is jump back to my deck, go into next steps. Let's go here. So in terms of next steps, there's a few things we can do, and I'm conscious that I'm talking here from primarily a technology perspective, but this applies to maturity assessments or any of the other services that we as a company provide. But if you wanted a wider platform demo, get in touch with me using the details that are coming up, and I'll be more than happy to set that up. If you'd like to get into a bit more detail and discuss your situation in greater detail, you'd like to understand what an implementation of this solution or any of the services might look like within your context, again, that's something that we can set up. So all you need to do again is get in touch with us. And again, the details are coming up now, and this is the wrong contact page. But my contact details are there. So if you need to drop me an email, you can do so to baz.kinder@wellington.co.uk. Vince's email address is vince.hines@wellington.co.uk. We'll type that into the chat window, Vince, if you wouldn't mind. Again, you can also find us on LinkedIn. So go into LinkedIn, do a search for Wellington, you'll find us there. And we also have a very active YouTube channel, youtube.com/Wellington PPM, where you will find a ton of videos, not only on the technology side of it, but also around our wider services. So we've got lots of videos on there about PMO maturity, what change management looks like, a whole heap of topics. But Vince, I will stop sharing my screen. Is there anything you would like to add before we go into the formal Q&A?
Nothing I want to add, but we can have some questions.
Okay.
So the first question was people asked about licensing and the different types of licensing for the product. I guess that's as well. Do they need a license?
No, not really. So licensing is quite interesting. What Microsoft have done actually is make provided everyone that's got an Office 365 license, specific SKUs, pretty much all of them, to be honest, they can get view-only access to the plans. And if somebody has Power BI Pro, they can also get access to the project level reporting as well. But when it comes to project itself, there's 3 tiers. There's Project Plan 1, Project Plan 3, and Project Plan 5. The bulk of our customers use a combination of Project Plan 1, Project Plan 3. You do also potentially need a Power Apps license as well. But some of the licensing that I'm talking about, many organizations will already have as standard as part of our enterprise agreement. So licensing is a pretty complex topic. I'd suggest a separate one-on-one call around that subject area. So if you do want to discuss licensing in detail, get in touch. But no, not everyone in the team needs to have a project license.
Okay, and then the roadmap. Jackie's asked the question, does the roadmap come from the project plan itself, i.e. bottom up, or can the roadmap be created as a concept to feed into the plan at a later point?
So both are true to a large extent. So many organizations can use roadmap to plan out their roadmap before a plan actually exists. Other organizations use roadmap to surface or make visible information that's already captured within Project for the Web. So it can kind of work in both ways. There's also a really good question here from someone: is there a guest view, and is it free for guests? So guest user access is something that has literally been rolled out by Microsoft. It's not a hit all tenants. I've not seen the published information around it either in terms of licensing, but I suspect it's free. But we can come back to you offline on that topic if there's anything else.
The other question which Claire asked, I think I hopefully answered to some degree, is a predetermined approval flow. So obviously we can configure the project approval process to align with your governance within your organisation. But Baz, I don't know whether you wanted to say anything else.
Well, when it comes to predefined approval flows, when you look at the plan that I was displaying, and I had that project stage gate process there, that's all bespoke. But when it comes to approval flows for things like document sign-off, many things like that, a lot of those are kind of standing out in the box. Now, we didn't cover those today, but there are now a large number of predefined Power Automate flows you can use out of the box.
So that's, for example, if you've got a change request that needs to be approved by people, or a scoping document needs to be
Exactly. You can literally select it, run the flow, request sign off, job done. But it's the project life cycle that is bespoke primarily.
Yeah.
But the thing with Power Automate is it's so infinitely powerful. You can do so many things with Power Automate. It's a fully fledged business process workflow solution. So whether you want actions and project for the web to trigger actions in different applications, or send something off to somebody's inbox, there's a whole world of options available.
Lovely. I don't know if has anyone else got any other questions? Feel free to chat.
Doesn't look like there is, but I know Santosh wanted to have a few closing words as well.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, please do chat, put it in a chat box. A lot of questions have already asked, and I'm sure this would have clarified many other subsequent questions that people may have in mind. So the good information.
All right. Well, I guess we'll hand back to you then, Santosh.
Sure, that would be great. Yeah. Many thanks, Vince and Buzz. It is a great session. We all enjoyed it. This is more of that we got a lot of information that can be practical in nature for us to implement right in the project. So that is really nice to have that one. So certainly looking forward to know more about PPM. So it is more of creating a more interest in all of us to kind of explore this option further. Sharing my screen, team, thanks a lot for all your participation and all your time you spent today. I'm sure you got a lot of implementable actions from this meeting too. I hope that will be a more value addition to you and your time that you spent it today. In addition to that, you also will get a PDU benefits for attending this session. PDU claim code is shown on the screen. If you are registered with your PMI ID, then these PDUs will get credited to your account automatically. However, if you are not, then you still can claim these PDU credits using the claim code that is shown on the screen. Okay. Thanks a lot for your time. You have a great day today. Thank you. Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks. Bye.